Hello students, this is Dr. M. Bhushanam, Assistant Professor in Zoology, Maharani Science College for Women, Bengaluru. Hope all of you are safe and fine at home during this pandemic time. Students, take care of your good health. So in today's session, we shall learn another topic in organic evolution, that is dating of fossils. The objective of today's session is to study role of various methods of dating of fossils in organic evolution. The content includes the paleontological evidences under organic evolution, that is dating of fossils. Well, as we all know, fossils are the remains of ancient organisms or past organisms which were dug out of the Earth's crust. They act as the direct evidences of organic evolution. We also know that fossils gives clue to the connective links, then missing links, and even to the extinct form of organisms. Generally, the deeper layers of the Earth forms the oldest layers with the fossils of simple organisms. So the complexity wise, when we look at it, is very lesser. Whereas the upper layers of the Earth's crust, when we look at it, forms the newer layers with the fossils of very recent or new organisms. The complexity wise, it is very high. These concepts were learnt by us in the previous sessions. If you look at the organisms, it has birth and even death. We all do have dates for the births and deaths. If you simply look at, it refers to the age of an animal. So if you take the example of human beings, we have date of birth and date of death. So that defines the age of that particular human being. In the same way is the age of the animals also, mean to say fossilized animals also. Then how to go about the age determination for a fossil? It is by a technique called as dating of fossils or dating of rocks. So dating of fossils or rocks is defined as a process that determines the age of fossils by date. So we give the age of fossils by date by using different methods, and it gives the information about the time of existence of a fossilized organism. So generally, the age of fossils will give us the information about the time of existence of that particular organism on the Earth. There are two methods of determination of fossils age. Number one is relative dating, and the number two is absolute dating. In relative dating, we determine the approximate age of fossils and fossil rocks by comparing the available fossils which were already determined with its age. So we compare the age of the organisms the fossilized organism by comparing it with the age of the same fossil animal which is already determined. Okay, so that is the importance. So down in the picture when we look at, we have molluscans both at the lower strata as well as the upper strata. So some common animals are there in both the strata, and one of these strata's age, if we could determine early, so the same age can be compared to the age of the animal which is excavated at a different place in the same strata of the rock. So this is how we go for the aging or age determination of the fossils by relative method. The second method is absolute method of dating of fossils. In absolute dating, it gives us the very precise or absolute age of a fossil or fossilized rock. It is determined by the radioisotopes or radioactive elements present in the fossils or in the rocks of it. Hence, it is also called as radiometric dating or direct dating. It is the best method and very precise method of dating of fossils. It is in this process we go about the measurement of decay of isotopes present either in the fossil or in the fossil rocks. Simply, we have a concept called as isotopes. You know, isotopes are the chemical atoms or elements with the same atomic number, but it will have variation with the neutrons. So they have differences in the neutrons. Thus, the same atomic element will show different forms. And these different forms are known as the isotopes. There are radioactive isotopes. For example, carbon, when we take up we have carbon 12 and carbon 14. Of these two, carbon 14 is the radioactive isotope of carbon. Hence, we call it as carbon 14 dating. Okay, so this particular carbon 14 is a radioactive isotope of carbon, whereas carbon 12 is a stable carbon in the nature. So radioactive isotopes have a property of disintegration or breakdown to form their daughter nuclear or daughter elements. It is a naturally unstable element. So it naturally breaks down to form the daughter elements. That is, a parent element or isotope breaks to form daughter elements producing enormous energy. And the type of radioisotope here, the type of radioisotope and its decay forming daughter elements are very precise, very constant for a specific isotope. Also, the time duration for this decay process is also very precise or very specific. So based on this precise time, we predict the absolute age of the fossil or fossilized rock. So we shall look into that aspect when we go in detail about the concept little later. Next, we shall understand few concepts related to the fossil study. Number one, paleontology. It refers to the study of fossils. Toponymy. It refers to the study of formation of fossils. Then paleodemography. It is the study of various aspects of life of past animals, their behavior, their feeding mode, their sexual behaviors, etc. They all can be studied under paleodemography. Then paleopathology is the study of diseases associated with the fossils. Well, students, we shall understand now each of the methods of dating of fossils in detail, as it is important for the main or essay answer questions. First one to start with is relative or indirect dating. Relative dating is also called as indirect dating, wherein we go for dating of fossils or fossil rocks by comparing it with the age of the fossil or fossil rock which is already determined. In simple, we can say that it gives the approximation of age of fossils. In this method, the age of fossils is already known, will be compared to the age of newly excavated similar type of organism. So down in the picture when we look at, we have examples of trilobites. These trilobites are arthropod and marine species which were seen in a Cambrian period of time. So its age is already predetermined. We are going to get the similar kind of trilobite fossils in another place in the same strata, same layer of the earth. So we need not again have to go for determining the age of it. Instead, we can compare it with the fossil which we have excavated already in the previous place, where in the same rock layer we find the same fossil. So if it is of same kind we have found in different place, we can say by comparing both that both belongs to the similar age. So that's how we go for dating the fossils in a relative or indirect dating method. Here is an example to cite. If there is a fossil of trilobite, students remember trilobite is an extinct marine arthropod. So it was a kind of arthropod which lives in the marine water, but extinct. Nowadays you don't find that species. It is excavated in a Cambrian fossil called as Wheeler Shale. Wheeler Shale is a mountain range area of town of Delta of US, Utah we call it as. So that from that place they have excavated. So simply Wheeler refers to the range of forests. So there they have excavated a fossil of trilobite and they have predicted the age to be 507 million years old. Now the condition is the similar kind of rock showing similar kind of fossil but in a different place. It is in a very different place. They could, after the excavating, they need not have to again determine the age of it, but they can compare the rock layer in which this trilobite is and the type of trilobite also. Both if it is same, then you can easily say that it is also of the age of 507 million years old. Reason is that they share the common rock layer, common period and common organisms. So since it's common everywhere, we can easily say that both are of same age. So if this is the kind of age prediction, we call it as a relative dating method. So just comparing the age of a known place or of a known fossil with the new one for the same or similar organism, we can predict the age, and it is the approximation of age determination through indirect process. We just compare and say so. For relative dating or indirect dating, we need the special kind of fossils called as index fossils. It is to correlate the age, to compare the age. Okay. They are the fossils whose age is already predetected in the same locality within a specific layer of the earth. These index fossils are the fossils which are present in abundance within a specific age range. Mean to say, they will share a common rocky layer throughout the earth, and the type of organisms also remains common. Okay, so such type of fossils are called as index fossils. So they are hence called as indicator fossils or guide fossils. Down in the picture, when we look at certain of arthropods and certain of molluscans, they share the similarities with the strata of different areas in the same layers, hence they are called as indicator fossils or guide fossils or index fossils. Generally, indicator fossils which are geographically wide distributed. It includes the examples of brachiopods, trilobites, ammonites, protists, etc. So these are all groups of organisms belonging to mollusca, arthropod groups, and even protistine group. Ammonites are special group of organisms which acts as the fossils and the best known as terrestrial index fossils. So ammonites are the best terrestrial index fossils, whereas protists are best marine index fossils. The major features of this particular fossils of indicator kind is majority of them should be easily recognizable. Number two, they should look very unique compared to the rest of fossils. Number three, they should be occupying a wide spread of geographical areas. Mean to say, they should have a widespread in the earth layers. So down in the picture, when you look at, you find certain of the common organisms in location 1, 2, 3 and 4. Such organisms which are easily recognizable, look very unique and are widespread or common throughout the earth, they can be called as index fossils or indicator fossils. There are also multiple index fossils. What are these multiple index fossils? To understand that, we have an example here. A rock formation contains fossil type of brachiopod whose age is predicted as 410 and 420 million years. So that's the range. 410 to 420 is the million years old is the brachiopod, which is already determined of the age of a fossil. Now, the same rock formation also contains now not brachiopod, it is trilobite, a different animal, but of the same rock layers, okay, which is seen of the age 415 to 425 millions of years. So we have animals of brachiopod of a fossil layer whose age is 410 to 420 million years, we have another organism called Trilobite, whose age is 415 to 425 millions of years. Now, since the same rock layers contain two different fossils with different age time, then what is the actual age of that rock? When we look at it, is the overlapping period between 410 to 420 and 415 to 425. The overlapping period is 415 to 420. It is common. So remember, 415 to 420 is common for 410 to 420 range and 415 to 425 range. So this is called as overlapping period. So that overlapping period can be considered as the age of either the fossil or of the rock. This kind of prediction, we call it as multiple index fossil prediction. So we have two different types of fossils of two different duration of age and time when we could predict, then the overlapping period of them can be considered as the age of both the organisms as well as the rocks. This we call it as multiple index fossils. Well, in relative dating, it is also done by studying the layers of rocks called geostratification. Stratification is layering, geo means earth. So studying layers of the rocks of the earth or strata, we call it a geostratification. So it's a good way, good method of dating of fossils by this particular layers, if we know the age of that particular layers. And layers of the rocks are also deposited sequentially. So there is a time period for the layers also, there is the age for the layers also. So this sequential layering of the earth, we call it as geochronology. Okay. So when we look at both geostratification and geochronology, both gives one common idea. The idea is that the stratal layers present in the deeper part of the earth shows presence of the fossils which are very simpler forms. Mean to say, the age of those layers is very old, very high, but the complexity of the animals when we look at it is very simple. Comparing to what? To the upper layers, the younger layers, where we find the complexity of the animal is very much high and the age of it is very less. So age wise, older layers are present or older fossils are present in the deeper layers compared to the upper layers. Complexity of the organism wise, when we look at the ancestral organisms of simple kind are present in older layers compared to the upper layers. So that's the importance of geostratification and geochronology. The next method of dating is absolute dating, also called as direct dating. It's a precise method of determination of age of a fossil through the radiometric methods. It makes use of radioactive minerals or elements that occurs in the rocks as well as in the fossils. The isotopes of same elements with different forms due to the differences in their neutron number are called as isotopes. Iso means same. So same element occurring in different forms is called isotopes. There are isotopes of elements which are said to be radioactive isotopes, mean to say they involve in a phenomenon of radio decay. They keep on splitting itself. So radio decay isotopes are naturally unstable isotopes. Thus they break down at a constant rate at a constant time to form the daughter elements. So this is called as simply radioactive decay. Thus, by measuring the ratio of amount of parent isotope and the daughter isotopes that are left back, one can easily predict its age. For example, for carbon-14, the dating range is between 500 to 50,000, not above 50. For potassium-40, it is maximum is 4.6 billions. For uranium-235, it is 4.6 billions. For uranium-239, is also of 4.6 billions of years. So this is how we go about predicting the age of the fossil. This radio decay of radioactive elements is generally called as radioactive clock method. It is the principle involved behind absolute dating process. It is given by Rutherford in 1955. So here in the picture you can see a radioactive element right extreme towards the left side, breaking down to form the daughter elements, releasing enormous amount of energy. So it's a very constant process. The number of daughter elements formed are also constant and specific. Rutherford here gives the concept of rate of decay of radioactive elements by using the concept of half-life period. So this is very important, the definition of it for short notes. What is half-life period? It is defined as the time required for the quantity of radioactive isotope to decrease or to fall to its half of its original value or starting value. Say suppose if I have 100 molecules of a radioactive element, that 100 will reduce to 50, exactly 50% to a particular time. So originally 100, half of it is 50. So when it reduces its number from 100 to 50, the time taken for this particular period of 100 number of elements reducing to 50 by the radioactive process is called as half-life period. To understand it, a radioactive isotope said to have a half-life period of 5,000 years. Let us understand. What does this 5,000 years of half-life refers to? It means the original number of isotopes now will reduce to 50% by 5,000 years. In another 5,000 years, their original number will be totally lost to zero. Because all daughter nuclei or daughter elements will be seen by another 5,000 years later. So initial 5,000 we find 50% to reduce to 50. That 50 again will reduce to 50 by another 5,000 years. By another 5,000 years their number are going to decrease further. So 100 reduced to 50, it takes 5,000 years. This 50 to again another 50%, it will take another 5,000 years. So like this it keeps on changing its value. So this value we call it as half-life period. So I think that I made the concept clear. So 100 reduces to 50 is half-life period, first half-life period. The next half-life period is this 50 will be reducing to, this becomes initial now. Okay, this 50 becomes original number. This will be reducing to 50, means to take 25 by another half-life period of time. So that 25 will reduce to another half-life period of time. Like this it goes on decreasing. So this is what is the concept of half-life period is. So this radiometric method of dating of fossils includes the examples of many types, but in your syllabus it reflects to only 4 types. Number 1, lead uranium or lead dating method. Number 2, radiocarbon dating method. Number 3, potassium argon dating method. Number 4, fission track method. So these are 4 methods that we are going to understand in today's session. The first one to start is lead uranium lead dating method. Let me put it in the right way: lead dating method or uranium lead dating method. Okay, fine. It is abbreviated as U-PB dating method to symbolize that elements. This method is the oldest and most reliable method of radiometric dating. We have many methods, all of them. The most reliable and oldest method is this method of radiometric dating method of lead dating or uranium lead dating. So this method is used to predict the age of either the rock or of the fossil, which is about 1 million years to 4.5 billion years old, by usage of the common half-life principle. So this method of dating of fossil is devised by Boltwood in 1907, and the principle behind this uranium decay chain, so uranium fission process. There are 2 isotopes of uranium-238 and uranium-235. First one, when we look at uranium-238, it breaks down to form lead and helium, lead of 206 and helium moieties of 2 numbers. I'm sorry, helium moieties of 2 daughter elements, that is lead and helium. Around 4.51 billion of years are required to reduce 1/2 of the uranium atoms to the lead of 206. So this acts as the half-life period. What is the half-life period of uranium-238? It is 4.51 billions of years, because that is the time during which 50% of the original number gets reduced. So this concept, again, to 50% becomes original, to reduce that to 50%, another 4.51 billions of years it will take. So down is the picture which depicts the uranium-238, whose half-life period is 4.51 billion years. So what is half-life period? One half-life period is equal to reduction of 100 number to 50 numbers. Similarly, we have uranium-235, which upon decay will produce helium and electron molecules. Here lead produced is, I'm sorry, not helium, lead of 207. So there we find in U238 lead of 206, in U235 the lead produced is of 207. So it requires half-life period of 704 millions of years. So the breakdown of 100% molecules of uranium-235 to 50%, it requires 704 millions of years. So uranium-238 forms 4.51 billion years. So billion is more than a million, understand that, okay? So that's about uranium-235. So what's happening here? During this decay process of uranium to lead, there is number of lead molecules that are produced will remain constant. Say suppose in the diagram down, when you look at that black color dot represents the actual uranium molecules in initial stage, upon first half-life period, 50% of it gets reduced, okay, to a new and forms a new lead molecules. Then again 50% of it will be reducing to another new molecule. So like this, as the half-life period progresses, what happens to the original number of the lead? It keeps on decreasing, but it will take millions and millions of years of time. So it is estimated by using the formula Nt is equal to N0 e to the power minus Kt, where K is equal to 0.0693 by half-life period, and Nt and N0 refers to the difference between the radioisotope of the fossil which is determined and of the fossil which we have excavated newly. Well, students, we have limitations for this method of uranium dating or lead dating method. It's number one, it is not a common element seen in the Earth's crust. So it is an element seen in the igneous rocks, mean to say the rocks which are at the most deeper layers. And such rocks that do not have uranium-238 and uranium-235 cannot be subjected for this particular method of dating. So that's the disadvantage related to uranium dating or lead dating method. The second dating method is radiocarbon dating. It is also referred as carbon dating or carbon-14 dating, a common method which is used for the most young fossils to determine their ages. It's a method to determine the age of the objects that contains the organic material. So, organic material mainly consists of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. So, carbon forms a basis element. So, this basic element, if it is present in that particular fossil, then we can easily detect the age of that particular animal or an organism. This method determines the age of organisms based on the carbon content in it. So it is a classical method, a widely used method under absolute radiometric dating, but for the condition that the fossil should be containing carbon in it. So it should be most recent form of fossils. This method was developed by Libby in 1940s, and he received the Nobel Prize for it in 1960s. This method is widely used by the scientists related to archaeology and geology, the people who excavate things from the earth, and the scientists who study the earth related aspects. Okay, they make use of this particular concept very much. Let us understand what this concept is about. Carbon exists in two forms. So it's an isotope, okay? Carbon-12 and carbon-14. Carbon-12 is stable and it doesn't show much of reaction with any other, doesn't show much of breakdowns. Whereas carbon-14 is an unstable and decayable isotope. This is important for us. Carbon-14 dating makes use of radiocarbon-14. Where it is formed in the Earth's atmosphere with the help of cosmic rays that will interact with the nitrogen molecules. So nitrogen and cosmic rays will interact to produce carbon-14. This carbon-14 will interact with the oxygen later to form carbon dioxide. So first cosmic rays will combine with the nitrogen to form C14. Now C14 will combine with the oxygen to form CO2, but carbon in CO2 is 14 type. So this will enter into the plants through the photosynthesis process, and after the photosynthesis the plants are fed by the animals, so it enters into the animals also. Now C14 has entered into the animals as well as plants. When an animal or a plant dies, what happens to this C14? Now acquiring of C14 will stop. Now C14 will start decaying. So this decaying is radioactive decaying process that will lead to the reduction in the number of C14. When C14 will decay, the number of C14 will start decreasing in the animal, which is dead or fossilized form. So the piece of the wood or a fragment of a bone or any part of the fossil that we excavate will be taken out, and we go for the count of C12 and C14 ratio, both in the fossil as well as the living organisms in the present condition, by using the accelerator mass spectrometer. So after counting, we can say that at a particular constant time C14 has reduced, half-life period it has, right? So it has reduced to 50%. So by using that 50% of reduction in number, which we call it as half-life period, we can detect the age of that particular object. We know that C14 has got half-life period of 5568 plus or minus 30 years, which is approximately considered as 5600 years. So that is the half-life period of C14. So we calculate with the difference of C14 that exists now and of the past, and we give the age of that particular fossil. And this is the method which is used to date the age of the pyramids of Egypt. So here half-life period is equal to log of Nt by No by minus 0.693 into half-life value, where log of Nt by No is the logarithm difference in the percentage of C14 in a fossil as well as present time. This 0.693 is the decay constant of carbon, and half-life period of carbon is 5600 years. By substituting these values, we get the actual age of that particular object. Now, we have limitations of carbon 14. What are the limitations? Above 50,000 years of age, if you want to detect of a fossil, we cannot make use of this carbon dating method because of a short half-life period. And this is applicable only for those material that contains the organic material. So fossil that contains organic material of carbon are subjected for this particular method, otherwise it is not. The third method we have is potassium argon dating method. It is a recently developed method used in geochronology, paleontology related to fossils. It was invented by scientist J.J. Thomson in 1905, where potassium 40 breaks down to form argon 40 by releasing or losing one of the electron in it. This kind of potassium 40 radioactive isotopes are present just 0.01% in the nature. The half-life period of this potassium argon dating, potassium decay is 1.3 into 10 to the power of 9 years. This is a method which is based on the decay of isotope potassium to argon and calcium. Potassium is an element which is seen generally in micas, clay minerals, tephra, evaporites, etc. of the rock. Generally, when potassium is predominantly present in the volcanoes, volcanic lava, when this lava erupts out, comes on to the Earth's surface, all the argon starts escaping. It's a gaseous molecule, starts escaping. But when a new layer, upon solidification, when a new rocky layer is formed, Argon 40 will get embedded within the rock layer. So it becomes crystallized form now. It starts evaporating now. This Argon 40 now slowly deteriorates to form, deteriorates to form the molecules within the rock that gets solidified. So amount of argon which got sublimated in rocks can give the age of that particular rock, because it's again a radioactive process. This is the method which is used to determine the age of human fossils that were excavated in East Africa. The half-life period of this potassium argon dating process involves potassium 40 is 2 million years. Any rock up to 2 million years can be determined by this method, but not above that. So that's the disadvantage of it. The last method is fission track method. Generally, we find this is the method which is associated with the spontaneous fission of uranium-238 and uranium-235. In the rocky layer, uranium-238, when it breaks up to form lead molecules and other elements, they form a track. Then again these molecules will break down to form other daughter elements. They again break down to form another daughter molecule. So it's a continuous process. So it forms a tracking. It forms a track. But this tracking process is used to study the age of the rock. Age of the rock, and this is called fission track method. So in fission process, while uranium breaks down to form the daughter nuclei through the radioactive process, the fission tracks are getting formed, subtracts and further subtracts. So that you can find down in the picture. Okay. Now question is, when it produces during this fission process enormous 100 millions of electron volts of energy is released along with the daughter fragments of the nucleus also. This may sometime may damage the neighboring tracks also. Say suppose if I have track A, B, C, D, E, etc. The A track may be interfered with the track molecules of B, or sometimes C, sometimes D, etc. So there is a damage caused for the path flow of the tracks, and this is called as damaged fission tracks. If you keenly observe diagram A and B down, A shows presence of darker structures of tracks in it, in the encircled part. It is absent in the B. Why it is absent? It is because of the damaged fission tracks. So like this, in a certain areas, the damaged fission tracks are estimated and they are considered to determine the age of that particular rock, because the track shows a constant, for a constant period, the constant daughter nuclei should be formed, and if the time disrupts the formation of a daughter nuclei with the help of the damage created by the neighboring tracks, so this is correlated and the age of that rock can be predicted. These tracks on the rocks can be studied by first removing that rock leaching it with the leaching agent or chemical agent. After washing it, we are going to study that under light microscope, where minute changes in the tracks cannot be noticed. So it is crystal lattices created of 15 to 20 micrometers long can easily be detected by this method. Fission tracking method makes use of the rock but not the fossil, because in the rock this fissionary process can form the tracks. Okay, not in the fossil. Limitations of fast track method of dating is it is used only for the rocks or any harder material like glass till 2000 years of time. And in this method, dating of daughter products is not at all considered. I mean to say, daughter elements that are formed will not be considered because they are damaged by the neighboring fission tracks, and it is considered only for dating the rocks but not the fossils. So these are all the limitations related to the fission tracks. The fission tracks, another disadvantage is that they are extremely thermally unstable. If you give much of heat to this rock, they realign, the tracks will realign, or sometimes the tracks may be erased out, or sometimes it may be shrunken. So thereby it will not give the right prediction of the age. So the fission tracks can be detected for the rocks that are completely cooled out. Okay, so age of the last cooling of the rock can be seen on it. So that's about the importance of fission track method. Students, with this we have completed dating of fossils. Let's understand the questions related to it. Number one, radiometric age is often referred to as absolute age, absolute dating. So answer is C. A scientist finds the same type of index fossil in layers of rock of both in Africa and India. Rock layers are same, fossils are also same. What does this indicate about the age of the rocks? It refers to rocks of both the places have approximately same age. So answer is B. Question 3. Which of the following isotope is the most useful for dating very young wood and charcoal, carbon containing products they are? So C14. Answer is C. Question 4. Which of the following radioactive isotopes has largest half-life? So answer is D, uranium 238, because it goes with the millions of years of time. When uranium 238 decays, to which of the daughter isotopes are formed? It is lead 206. Now here is a question. We have atoms of XX number to decay to the atoms of YY number, whose half-life period is 1 lakh years. If there are 20,000 atoms of XX type, understand please. So they began. So XX number of atoms are 20,000. That is the 100%, 20,000. How long will it take there to be 2,500 atoms of XX? So 20,000 initially should break down to form 10,000. That is 50% of it for 1 lakh years. For next 1 lakh years, this 10,000 will convert into 5,000. So together we had 2,000. In another 1 lakh years, this 5,000 will reduce to 2,500. So it is answer is 3 lakh years, because 3 places 10,000, I mean 1 lakh if you add, it will be 3,000. Answer is C. I repeat again students, 20,000 will be reduced to 50%, that is 10,000. That 10,000 will next be, this is considered as initial value now. So in the next half-life period, it will be reduced to 50%, mean to say 10,000 will reduce to 5,000. Now that 5,000 again will reduce to 50%, that is 2,500. So at 3 times of half-life period, it will be reduced to 2,500 atoms. So it is 3 lakh times. Radiocarbon dating can help find the age range of biological specimens no longer 50,000 years. So not more than 50,000 years radiocarbon dating could be applicable. Question 8. Which process would be most effective in determining the age of fossils embedded in the rock, which is present inside the rock? So answer is B, absolute dating, because radioactive method is most effective method among all. Now, question 9. Which layers contains oldest index fossils among this? So whether it is in layer A, B, C, or D. Answer is A. I'm sorry, layer A. So it is C. Answer is C. Layer A. Now, the 10th question. When the bones of early humans are found in the same geological deposits as those of other animal species. So we have animal species of different types along with the human beings are present in the same geological deposit that are known to have lived at a specific time and in the past. So animals' age is detected already. Okay. Now it is assumed that these people lived then as well. Even human beings also lived then. This is an application of which type of dating here with? So it is related to biostratigraphy, because living organisms along with the layers that are related is biostratigraphy. Answer is B, biostratigraphy. Well students, the outcome of today's session is that we have understood the role of various methods of dating of fossils and their importance in the process of organic evolution. The references includes web references of Wikipedia and Britannica.com, and book references includes Organic Evolution by Veerabala Rastogi and Evolutionary Biology by Veerabala Rastogi, Cell Biology, Genetics, Molecular Biology, Evolution and Ecology by Verma and Agarwal. Kindly post your comments and queries to my personal WhatsApp number. Take care of your good health during this pandemic time, students. Thank you all.